Hello, crafty friends. It's Elisa from Paisley Papyrus. Long time no see. First of all, I've been sick, and second of all, my camera is broken. So I am filming this today with technically a broken camera, but in a few days I hope to go get that fixed and make better recordings for you. So because it's broken, I can't zoom in and show you a really great shot, but I am here today to tell you number of different ways that we can use Festive Foliage. Now, Festive Foliage is a background stamp that's in the annual catalog, and I think it is an overlooked gem. So let me tell you why I think you need to have this stamp set. It can do a myriad of simple cards, and you can knock out a bunch in no time and have it be pleasurable. So here's some of my ideas for you. First, I stamped the image in Evening Evergreen in our water-based ink, and then I used our blender pen and went in and just kind of blended the color in. Because our ink is water-based, you can use a blender pen on it and it will smear around the color that you use. So if you don't want to smear around the color, you definitely don't want to use a blender pen on it. But if you do, like this one, you can fill in some of the green and make it a blender pen. Use the blender pen to make it more green and all of the white areas of the leaves. So that is idea number one. Idea number two is I again stamped it in Evening Evergreen. I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up, but there is Wink of Stella on this one. So I wanted to give you a little sample of how you do this, and you can see that this one right here is not colored in any way, shape, or form, and I'm just going to take my Wink of Stella and blend it in and make the green smear a little bit, for lack of a better term. And then I'm also applying my Wink of Stella glitter over the top of it, which is going to give me gorgeous sparkly leaves whenever this whole card front is finished. So that is idea number two. Now, for idea number three, you can use it as a background stamp. This is Pear Pizzazz paper, and for this one I used the Versamark ink, so it left a watermark on the back, which is a nice subtle background. So it kind of gives your paper a pattern background for whatever you want to lay on top of it. And now this one does the same thing, except that it's obviously much brighter because I used the Pear Pizzazz ink pad. So that is idea number two and number three. Now, idea number four is I used, this piece of paper is very vanilla, and for this one I used Garden Green ink pad and Pear Pizzazz ink pad, and I blended on. So I initially blended on the Pear Pizzazz all the way out to the edge to give it a soft edge to the outside, and then I went over the middle area with Garden Green to give it a little depth to that. That is idea number five. Then for the next one, I brought in my, let's see, this is my Stays On ink pad, and I used my watercolor pencils. So this is our watercolor assortment number two, and I used the Garden Green pencil number 19, and I used Granny Apple Green pencil number 18, and then I used a little bit of Cherry Cobbler pencil number 14. But basically what I did was colored in the areas, and you can see, let me bring it up real close for you. You can see on this one right here, I have not used my blender, and this one right here, I have not used my blender. I just laid down a little color in the middle of it and then blended it out. So to do this, I'm going to start with this one right here, and I'm going to pull out my blender pen, and I'm just going to go in there and blend that color out. So it gives it sort of a watercolor effect, but it's more controlled. Now this one, I took the darker green down the vines of the leaf, and I'm going to do the same thing, blending it out. But that gives it a little bit more depth and a little bit different color value than just simply the two colors. So I've blended those out all over. Now this one is one that you need to leave your perfectionism at the door, because for these I just laid down a little bit of the darker green and then smeared over it with the blender pen to make it kind of go out a little bit. Like over here is a really good example of how no matter what, you're going to get a little outside the line. So just grin and bear it, and no one will be the wiser. They probably won't look that close. I mean, when you first saw it, hopefully you didn't immediately have your eye drawn to that. But anyway, I think it is a beautiful way to add some color to the background of your card. Then we have, I've lost count, I think that was number 6. This is idea number 7. I stamped this one in our, what is it called? Not the Versamark, not the Stays-On, the other black that you use, our basic black card ink pad, and I used our alcohol markers on that one. So that is another option if you want to color in with your alcohol markers and give it some depth with those. And then for our last idea, I used our watercolor paper, and then I stamped it with Versamark and used gold embossing powder. And then I took the Pear Pizzazz, the Garden Green, the Evening Evergreen, and the Mossy Meadow, and used a wet paintbrush to go inside the inners of each leaf to make them the depths of colors. Now for this one, I decided to skip going into the little itty bitties over here because I thought it might make a bigger mess than it was actually worth, and I kind of like it just the way it is. So come back next time and I'll show you how I turn all of these card fronts into actual Christmas cards. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.